Katerina, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely. Streets Loud with Echo is a fascinating and powerful film from start to finish. Can we talk how did you come to create the film? How did the process begin?
There was for me it was really personal at the beginning, and I think through the whole process it just stayed like this. For me, it started with that as I started the film actually with that murder of that bride champion,
Yeah.
and that was happened just like 100 meters from my working studio where I was editing my previous films. And me and my editor was playing ping pong at the place where he was killed. And it was just 2 blocks from my apartment. I mean, it was like the really heart of my city. It was walkable distance from everywhere. If you're going by your business, you would go in 10 times across this place. And that was painful for me. And I was proceeding that through coming to every evening to the place where people brought flowers and candles and they was talk together. And for me, it was necessary because I was super worried. Um, all of us talking was talking at this moment why it was so painful for us. It was different levels, but something around that and I tried to put it in the film that we was seeing in his progress ourselves. Like you can be from the country with not that much supporting systems from what you want to do, but yet you can achieve many. And that what figure was he, like that image. And then how his life was just like it was too surrealistically easy to die for him, like in the middle of the day, in the middle of the city. Nothing was supposed to save his life, like neither police, neither medic, like nothing was he was super fragile. And then us as super fragile, like going through that image of recognizing ourselves in him. And yeah, so I wasn't have any answers. I was just coming, and it was painful. And I took my camera just because it's my common process. It calmed down me. And coming with this camera, looking for the small images, I was even thinking for what I'm shooting. I started to hear the dialogues next to the wall. That wall, we called it wall, like memory wall. People just okay, let's get together next weekend. Let's start writing the roadmap of what we can do or something, some constructive speeches just start pop up. And I really thought that I would go for them because I have an answer for myself, like what the price my life have in my country. uh, like does it mean any struggles I have to progress in my field with all the difficulties if everything is so unsecure? Like so many questions. I have no answer, and I just decided to keep to that constructive dialogue people start having to each other. So I just start follow them to find some answer for myself. And I think I would say I found them at the really end of the film. I mean, like because during the process of shooting I was lost myself so many times, and I lost hope so many times, but uh, the end, that events I put in the end of the film, it was also really important answer for myself also. Yeah, I think I found that idea in that young people that become protagonists of this film. It wasn't obvious at the beginning. I was just looking for all around me, and I was shooting so many different events, and there was happened so many different things. But at some point I just realized that I spend more time looking on him and on her, and they really attract me by their thoughts and actions and everything. And I just start following them. And I'm so glad, like an artist, like that. It was particularly that two person who also gave me an answer after years, right? My entire plan was to shoot for 1 year from the moment of killing, to the moment of commemoration night. I just was thinking, okay, what we as a society can do with that year? Would we really do something? As people was pop-upping idea next to that wall, and that was my question. And so I didn't finish to shoot after 1 year because I just decided that this really big and huge political events as Bloody January, I can't put it aside because the behavior of my protagonist during these events finally gave me hope. So that's why I put it all together. And then for me, that story was, yeah, I got those answer actually with which I came to the wall, like at the moment after the murder of Olympic champion. Probably I got the answer just that few years later in that fog of that, that situation in Almaty.
Well, it really is amazing because the film the taking the I guess over the course of the year, but there's more than that in the film. You see sort of the grassroots beginning of revolution. It's amazing to see that start to happen. And I know you're following, as you said, like you following. I forgive me if I mispronounce it. Is it Dimash and Assem?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
Dimash and Assem. And as you follow them, you sort of see their struggle along the way, both personally and professionally.
Mm.
But for the two of them, what is it that sets them apart in your eyes? What is it that
Mm.
makes them special?
Um, I wouldn't say that that's what put them aside makes them special. I think they are special because she is super, super, how to say in English, brave. I mean, she's so brave. She is unstoppable. I don't know how she overwork her fear. I mean, common fear each of us should have, but she is fearless. And he is also really special for me because of his super clear vision. He at the same time super educated, but he also the nephew of one really big important political figure, also how oppositionary figure from 90s. So he kind of new generation of opposition of Kazakhstan, which was always isolated. It's not like, it's not like big things, but it's always people, some bright minds. And he is a second generation of that. That's why probably he has that super exact and clear vision and also words. That was fascinate me. But that would put them aside. It's of course things what makes me also a lot of pain. It's probably that what I also discovered as an author, because I would say I think I was starting this film a little bit naive. I probably was thinking, and I felt this, that I would shoot huge progress. That's what you say. Like I wouldn't say I was expecting for revolution, but I was feeling that that what you mean when you're saying about revolution, that huge changes or like big union of people. That what was I was starting shoot. But after the year, I just realized that things are much, much more complicated. And yes, we do have idea and power to stay together, but we don't know how to do it. We are so different, sometimes just personally, sometimes just emotionally, sometimes just in, I don't know, like in our timbre. And that what's happened to Dimash Asiem, we never learned how to get together, how to stay together. We do know what would happen if we would together, how strong we are together, but we have no experience how to
Mhm.
overcome that small things between us, like how to keep uh, trust and respect each other. What I feel is that we're living in I don't know, like political and historical moment when um, uh, when the people in power was constructing such many false levels of reality, pretending that a country is building, not corrupting money, like not just becoming the more richest people in the world, like what we see from the ex-president and everything. So probably we have lack of trust generally. We don't trust to our state. We don't trust probably also to each other. And at the same time, we so much want to be together and to do something with it. And that's the answer I probably took from the film, is that yes, we do want to gain together, but we also need to learn how to stay together, how to, yeah, that's how to keep respect to each other, facing all that differences. I mean, personal, maybe even some political ideas and everything, but keep that unity. That is a question for me, and I think it's a really important question for Kazakhstani society now, today.
And that I love that within the film. It's so interesting to see, this team of people that have a common goal but don't necessarily agree on, how to get there, if you will. Keep it like that idea of keeping people together, unified with one voice, but that voice wants to say different things.
Yes, 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 yes. And I think Dimash was saying at some moment about that some things I wasn't put so much because there was a lot of much more conflicts, and I wasn't put more than I did, but there was different layers of conflicts, also language questions, and like many, many, many things. Yeah. So, and I like how Dimash at some point he was saying like we just need to accept that it would be different people, and some of them would not agree to support LGBT, for example, community, which we are. And at the same time, some things what we don't want to support would be important for them, but at the same time, we are that society.
Right.
And that's the moment, like that's opening moment for me. Like it's so many things to understand. Yes, and to learn that different level of empathy. That's something we don't have in past.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that comes out in the film, or as we see, and certainly, I mean, when you're dealing with um, governments with incredible power, this is often the case. But one of the things that keeps coming up is your group keeps saying we want to have peaceful discussion. We want to have peaceful discussion, but it seems to be such a threat to
Mm,
the government
mm.
and political power. And I guess my question is, in your eyes, why do you think that peaceful discussion would be seen as such a threat?
Yes, because I think when we say that, I don't know if you know that, but it's really nowadays moment that that the people, like young people from ex-Soviet countries, prefer do not explain our processes through the Soviet Union. Just come on, like we can't describe ourselves so much linked to that. But in that particular things, I think I can't avoid this. That the background of my country is 70 years and vertical totalitarian state construction. And then that 30 years after that, after collapse of that, that's what we call now transformation, or like that independency years. But yet, at the top of the government, staying people who was born in that totalitarian country, who was work in the governmental position at that totalitarian country. So then last 30 years that people was rule the country. And that's why that conflict between different ideas, what we see now in what we, to simplify, call the war, right? Russia against Ukraine. We see the two different minds setting, and one of them is really want to bring us back to the totalitarian pressure, and one ideology or like idea wants to say that we just want to be much more transparent, we just want to be much more horizontal. And that's, I think, something between generation. And that's why we see, and also in that film we see that so different vibe of the two minds, when that our young people, they just say we don't want to go in power, we don't want to go to government, we just want to fucking start the dialogue. And yeah, because it's not about finding your, I don't know, like auditory, finding your support or something. It's more about, let's put the idea that probably we are not even should go to presidential country, because we are too much infected by idea of vertical power.
Mm.
Probably we should not do for like next 30 years. Let's try republic. Of course, it's maybe, I mean, of course, it's could, it's, we're so far from that that it sounds idealistical. But for me, it was so important to hear this word, to understand that this is other version of this reality exists. It could be there is other answers. Okay, yes, we have what we have, but it's not about okay, it's so sad, it's so painful, so we just accept what it is, and it's nothing any perspective. The words of Dimash was really inspire me by that there is other options could be possibly happen to us. Probably we are too far, probably we don't know how to deal with everything towards that idea, but I like to have this version. I like to think about this version.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know we're starting to run out of time,
Mm,
but you mentioned about generations, and this film is very much a letter to the next generation.
yes, it
Um,
is.
and I would love to uh, ask you about that. You know, at the end of the film, you talk about, you know, you want to leave a legacy for the next generation, and that you hope that they don't inherit the legacy of fear. I
Mm,
was wondering what that means to you. Uh,
mm. Oh, that was obvious for me that during the working with this film, I was feeling that fear many, many times. And I was also thinking about it, like why? Like it was some moments, some rails happened, and I was thinking, should I go there with my camera, or I would lose my camera? Would I able to keep shooting if it happened? Would I able to keep shooting if I would did a knee and everything? And that also pissed off me that I'm thinking about that. You know, it was one moment when I did know that the young people, that young guys was going to the rally, that spontaneous rally, like reaction to, I don't know, like um, to inauguration or something. And I was just lying down on my bed with my camera in my hand, lying down, watching the seal and thinking like, should I go or not? Should I go or not? Should I go? And I was like, I would prefer do not having this scene in my reality, you know? So that's how I realized I do have that fear in a face of state. I do have it. I was facing some situation. I have it inside of me, and when I was detained, I mean that spontaneously detained on the rally with Dimash, there was two different reaction to this situation of my parents and of parents of my young husband. Because my husband's parents, they were on the way to the police station when it's happened, and my father was saying, "Oh my gosh, why are you doing such things? You are so risking. Like what the fuck." And that also revealed me two different attitude towards that. And so what I was just thinking about, that I really want my son don't have that, don't have the circumstances what leads to that he need to think what they want to go to the rally of his friends or not, you know, like it's just so obvious for me. I just won't be the one who would come if it's necessary to police station, like being parents. But maybe don't come, just don't have that necessity.
I appreciate that. Um, I appreciate that, Katerina. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you
I do the
for your interest and for your job.
thank you. It's very sweet. Thank you. Have a great day. I wish you the best of the festival.